I am Nic Rohloff. This is NBA Now, and on today's show, we are going to answer the latest questions surrounding the NBA. 2 weeks of NBA free agency is down. There's still some names out there, but there are also some trade targets still out there. So we'll answer all the questions in the NBA, and the first one's coming in from Cole So Sporty 193. Does Klay Thompson going to the Mavericks make them immediate contenders? Well, here's the thing about that question here, Cole. The Mavericks technically are already contenders because when you're the reigning Western Conference champion, you will have to be talked about as a top 5 team in the NBA regardless. And I like what the Mavericks have done. And we could talk about Klay specifically, but when you just look at the grand scheme of the NBA offseason for Dallas, you get Klay Thompson, and I would say he is the Tim Hardaway replacement, who you traded to Detroit. That's an improvement. You lose Derrick Jones Jr., but you get Najee Marshall. Personally, I think Najee Marshall is a better fit for the Mavs than Derrick Jones Jr. because I think the defense is on a similar scale and tier, but Najee Marshall is a better three-point shooter, and he can space the floor better. And then you get Quentin Grimes to be the Josh Green replacement, if you will. And is Josh Green better? Possibly, but I think it's close enough to say that you improved on 2 out of 3 of those moves. So you're getting better from last year already, and you were in the NBA Finals a year ago. Expect also a second-year jump from Derek Lively. Maybe he gets more of a bag, if you will, offensively and can provide more than just rim running and lob threats. Like, this Mavericks team is likely going to be better than a year ago. So, yes, I do think they're contenders. Would I pick them to come out of the West? Probably not. I probably lean that team in OKC. But they will have a chance, and they'll be among the top 3 or 4 teams in the West for sure. If you have more NBA questions and you did not get featured on this mailbag or just missed the live show altogether, you could hit me up for questions on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff's the handle. I'm talking NBA hoops every single day. Send me a DM, give me a follow. I'm a good one, so go give me it at Nic_Rohloff. Jonathan Taylor, thoughts on Saddiq Bey to the Wizards? Yeah, I like this deal. I believe, was it Wednesday night is when the news broke from Adrian Wojnarowski, 3-year, $20 million deal. I think it's solid value for Washington specifically. Bey will not be ready for the start of the season due to his torn ACL. He featured pretty late last year for the Atlanta Hawks. But nonetheless, getting Bey on, what is that, 6.4, 5, 6? I don't know. I'm terrible at math. Either way, it's under $7 million per season, and I think that's incredible value for Bey, who came into the league out of Villanova, averaged 19 points in one season for the Detroit Pistons. Not the best defender, but he is a scoring wing that when he comes back to that Wizards lineup can give you really solid minutes off the bench. I am a fan of the move to the Wizards, and honestly, if you just look at the entire offseason Washington's had, I'm a big fan. Bob Carrington, Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George. Now you get Saddiq Bey. Like, I like what they're building over there. Now the biggest question for Washington is, are they trading Kuzma or are they keeping him? Javon Ward, what do you think about the Kevin Porter Jr. Harden backcourt? I know they had comparisons before, and now they play together. I hate it. I'm sorry, Javon Ward, if you're a Clippers fan. I just don't think Kevin Porter Jr. should even be allowed to be in the NBA. I'll stand pretty firm on that stance, and I think it's pretty gross that the NBA allowed him in and the Clippers signed him. That's kind of how I feel in the situation, but if you're just strictly talking basketball, I don't think it fits either because both of those guys don't play defense. I don't think Kevin Porter Jr. could play off-ball that well either. We saw him have issues with it in his days in Houston. I don't think it's a good fit. I also don't think they'd be starting together. I think KPJ, if he has a role on this team, is likely going to be the backup guard to James Harden in LA. So I don't think they'll play together. Who is your NBA squad? Shout out your favorite NBA team down in the comment section. I want to hear from the real ones and the faithful on who they are fans of. Joe Lawton. This is my guy from the Heat Report. Shout out to Joe. Do the Heat trade Jimmy if we don't make a move for someone like Brandon Ingram? Good question. I also saw you just send in a $2 super chat live. Same question, so we're not going to feature it twice, but appreciate the $2 super chat from Joe. Will they? No. Should they? Probably. Look, I am a Heat fan. I host the Heat Report. That's just common knowledge here at NBA Now and Chat Sports. And I have been amongst the belief that the Heat should trade for a third star keep Jimmy and Bam, and figure out how to way to compete around them in their later years together. But if they do not make a move, and they intend, that is Miami, and just running back their team next season, I think that is front office malpractice with the Sixers, Knicks getting better, the Celtics being the reigning champions. Bad front office management from Pat Riley and the crew. I think they should trade Jimmy Butler before he can leave in free agency next year, as he does have a player option, and he's seeking a long-term max extension. But we'll see what they end up doing. More questions to be answered here, but make sure you get your hats right now, whether you're a Warriors fan, Heat fan, Spurs, Knicks. Doesn't matter what team you're a fan of, your hats are on sale at chatsports.com/NBA hats. So many different styles, mesh trucker hats, adjustable, the rope hats, fitted, bucket hats. Does not matter. Get yours today, chatsports.com/NBA hats. One more time, that link will be in the description and comments of today's video. They really have a wide variety of hats you can go grab. They even have this one Brooklyn Nets bucket hat. I was tempted to buy it. I don't even like the Nets. It just looked cool. Richard with a question. What do you think the Chicago Bulls will do next? And miss you rolling on Chicago Bears. Well, I appreciate the kind comment from Richard. Shout out to the Bears Now channel. Never forget my days of producing over there. Now you'll get producer Cullen over there. But let's talk about the Bulls, because they're in a youth movement. They traded away Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey. They let DeMar DeRozan walk in free agency. They got, 2 second-round picks back? One? I don't remember if it was 1 or 2 in the sign-and trade with Sacramento. I do like their draft pick. I think they got arguably one of the biggest steals of the draft with Matas Buzelis with the 11th overall pick. I think that's a home run selection. I had him as my 3rd overall prospect in the entire draft. So to me, I think what they're going to do here, Richard, is let Giddey kind of play as that on-ball presence, have Kobe White shift to that off-ball 2-guard role, Matas Buzelis be your athletic young wing that can defend, hopefully improve his three-point shot a little bit. He struggled with it in the G League Ignite last year, shooting under 30%. I think the Bulls are just going to ride with a youth movement now. They'll probably still look to trade Levine or Vucevic. Not going to happen this offseason in all likelihood. Maybe they can both get their stock a little bit higher than it is now, and they can flip them at the deadline to a team looking for an extra piece, and you get some assets back. But it looks like it's a full youth movement in Chicago. Probably the right decision. Load up cap space, get some assets back maybe in a trade, and maybe make a move the next time a top player, all-star caliber guy comes available. Swifty, drop and give me 50. If you're Danny Ainge, what is your plan for the Jazz? Do you trade Walker Kessler? Man, if I was Danny Ainge, that is a different story. But I guess you want me to go in Danny Ainge's shoes. That's the question, right? You're really putting me on the spot here, and it's tough. If I'm Danny Ainge, I'm probably keeping the guys. I am. Like, I said this a couple times, and I said this on our rumors video a couple days ago. I think Lauri Markkanen's a solid building piece. I do. Like, I think he could be a 2B, 3A on a championship team. You just need to hit on your draft picks and maybe make a move and the next time a star is available via trade. You already have good draft capital. I don't get why you would ship Walker Kessler out unless you're just, like, you think he stinks, which I don't think he stinks. So why wouldn't you keep a Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen front court duo together? You get the spacing and offensive versatility from Markkanen. You get the defense and rim protection from Kessler. You just got to really hope one of your guards steps up here, whether it be Isaiah Collier, who you drafted in this past draft, Keontae George, who has been really good in Summer League. Could he take the next step? They should probably, honestly, trade Colin Sexton. That would be the one thing I would do. Trade Sexton, which would free up more usage and shots for George and Isaiah Collier, because you need one of those guards to pull through. But if I'm Danny Ainge, I'm probably keeping both Markkanen and Walker Kessler. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because not only do we answer your questions on the show, but we also give you 2 live shows a week and multiple videos a week, arguably multiple videos a day. And during NFL season, if you're an NFL fan too, we are the best place for NFL content on YouTube. So hit that sub button and join us here. We have a fun crew. Epic Jet X. Do you think the Bucks and the Cavs are insane to run it back with essentially the same rosters, or is it fair with all the injuries they both suffered? Epic Jets, I'll throw another team in there, the Miami Heat, which we've talked about already on the show. The Bucks, the Cavs, and the Heat are insane front office malpractice is going on in those three teams. Cleveland's big thing this offseason, are they getting Donovan Mitchell to commit long term? They did. Now, they get that, but they haven't made any adjustments to the roster. Are they banking on Garland to take another step? Are they banking on Evan Mobley to take another step? There still is a ton of roster flaws, and you could talk about it with all three teams I mentioned, the Bucks, the Cavs, and the Heat. What is their ceiling? Their ceiling is probably Eastern Conference Finals exits, and I could argue for Cleveland and Miami, it's probably a little bit sooner than that. Milwaukee's a little bit also insane if you focus on them real quick before we move on to the next question, because they are an old team. Giannis, Dame, Middleton, Lopez, Bobby Portis. If they don't get some young players that can be around Giannis long term, what happens in 2 to 3 years when Brook retires, when Dame is cooked, when Middleton's cooked? Giannis going to ask out? Like, it's going to be him and nobody in Milwaukee. That's a dangerous proposition. Milwaukee's kind of in that mode where they need to either commit and go all in and trade for another guy, ship off Middleton for a better third option around Dame and Giannis, or they need to go full youth movement and protect their long-term future with Giannis. Cole coming in with another question. What can the Nuggets do to get back to championship form? Yeah, it's going to be tough, that's for sure, considering they've lost a couple key players in back-to-back years. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope joins the Magic. Bruce Brown left after winning the title a year and a half ago. They're losing key role players, and the thing that, there's moves out there that maybe they can go make, but when you're looking at what they've done and what they have now, the only way they can get back to championship form, in my opinion, Cole, is if they get massive boosts and improvements from Christian Brown and Peyton Watson. They're banking on those two guys to be able to replace KCP and Bruce Brown. I don't know if they're able to do that, but you need both of them to do that. You drafted Deron Holmes to be Jokic's backup. Maybe he provides more than DeAndre Jordan did over the past year. But either way, there's really not a trade out there that they can make for a good role player. Maybe you could argue Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith from Brooklyn. I don't know how it would get done, but that's an intriguing name out there I would think of. All right, that's going to do it for today's mailbag. NBA rumors are always at a premium here. If you didn't get featured on today's show but still have a question that you want to ask me in NBA Now here, at my Twitter, my DMs are open at Nic_Rohloff. I'm never afraid to answer back.